Hello there, Alaskans, wherever you are. Welcome to the Must Read Alaska Show. Coming to you from somewhere in Alaska. This is the place where we talk about, you guessed it, Alaska. Where we keep the mainstream media on their toes and where we are standing up for what's right in a world run by leftists. You can find out more by heading over to mustreadalaska.com and also checking out the Must Read Alaska YouTube channel for some really great content. But first, let's get this party started.
Yeah, welcome everybody to the Must Read Alaska show, and we're coming to you from somewhere in Alaska. And March came in like a lion, didn't it? It just lots of snow this weekend in Anchorage here. 8 inches of snow. It was a really crazy day on Saturday with the Iditarod here, but it was a really great weekend. And then we had a lot going on this weekend. I was at the Americans for Prosperity grassroots training on Saturday. Then I popped down to Kenai for a big important announcement in Kenai. And John, you're my co-host there in Nikiski. Good to see you this morning. It looks like the sun's shining through for you too.
Oh yeah, it's great, beautiful weather out here in Nikiski, minus the fact that we still have, 4 feet of snow on the ground where I live. So we're hoping that evaporates quickly, but I'm very excited today. I won't waste too much time telling people updates on the Kenai Peninsula because Suzanne, I'll let you share with the great folks of Facebook land who we got for a guest today. It's very exciting.
Well, it's kind of obvious there. Right here and on Must Read Alaska show and on Facebook, we have the mayor of the Kenai Peninsula, Charlie Pierce. And we're really excited. Also, as it turns out, the Pierce for Governor campaign is going to be our sponsor of our podcast. And that is really exciting. So Charlie Pierce, he is the Results Not Rhetoric candidate for governor. We really appreciate you sponsoring this podcast, Charlie, and welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. And it's a pleasure to sponsor the work that both of you do. You really get the word out around Alaska, and it's greatly needed and appreciated. So thanks for having me today.
Well, thanks for getting on this show so early in the morning. Charlie, you're the mayor of the Kenai, and I think your term limited out now pretty soon here, and you took a look around and you said, you know what, I think the state could be run better. I think maybe we could up our game here in Alaska, and maybe we could open things up a bit and get the economy going. And so you decided in January to jump in, and then over the weekend, as everybody knows by now, you announced Edie Grunwald, who is an amazing patriot and amazing Alaskan, as your running mate. That was pretty big, exciting news for Alaskan conservatives. And now you're off and running as a team, the Pierce and Grunwald ticket. Well, tell me about what's going on in your campaign.
Yeah. I'm very excited about Edie joining our team and being willing to run with us. She's a very competitive individual and very driven. And more importantly, I would say that we were able to pick a very accomplished individual. And I'm excited about that. I look forward to working with her and having her as a partner in the decision making, the day-to-day decision making at the state level. And again, it was really, the decision was driven by trying to be very sensitive to all Alaskans and what would be in the best interest of all Alaskans. And so, typically you can call on your lieutenant governor, and I've heard many a lot of hearsay out there on the street about, well, they never call you back or you never hear from them, and it's pretty quiet. But what I would like to do is maybe set a new course for this position and for this lieutenant governor responsibilities, and have this individual or that position and the responsibilities be a louder voice for the people and serve the people at a higher level.
That's awesome. One of the things, Mayor Pierce, that I think people know you for over the last couple of years is your response to COVID. Around the state, when people were mandating mandates and mandating masks and telling everybody they have to get a vaccine or they can't go into the Forever 21 at the Diamond Center Mall without wearing a mask. Your stance seemed to be a little bit different. It seemed to be a little more pro individual choice, pro freedom. Talk a little bit about where you stood with those COVID mandates and why your leadership approach was different.
Well, it really came down to applying a little bit of respect and a little bit of responsibility and some level of expectation of us as individuals. And I took the approach of saying, hey, we're all adults, right? We are adults. And I trusted the Alaskans for who they are. I think we're very resilient and very independent thinking people. And I think that I trusted too that our residents would do the right thing, make good decisions, make good choices, and I think they did. I think they did on the peninsula. We demonstrated, we never wrote a policy inside the borough that forced anyone to do anything. What we did is we followed CDC guidelines, those that we could get that we could trust, and we applied those, and we encouraged folks to follow those. But then more importantly, we asked people to just be responsible. If you're in a tight spot, you're in a closed, confined area, be responsible. And remember, how many times do we remind people, wash your hands, social distance, and wear the mask when you need to. We provided masks at the door of our buildings. We never had any cases, trace contacts of any cases internally in our building. And I think at one time we mentioned that, or we learned that you were safer at work than you were at other places. You can have all the rules you want at work. People are going to leave work and they're going to go out on the street and they're going to go out to the stores and they're going to continue to live life. And really, I took an approach that we're going to have to manage this thing and live with it. It's not going away, and just be responsible.
Yeah, as it turns out, you were right. It's not going away. We're going to have to live with it, and it is going to be serious for some people. It's going to be extremely serious. Now, I know you've came down with COVID for a while, and actually, you were telling this story on a Saturday night, and you and your wife Vonnie both got COVID, and you're kind of at home for about a 14-day period because of the overlap of your infections, and I guess at some point she finally caved and said, it's time for you to run for governor. Tell me the story about that.
Well, it was, I don't know that was truly the ultimate decision. I had made a decision long before that I was going to put my name in and try to serve the state. But, as it goes, you either retire and you do it well, or you retire and perhaps you shouldn't. And I would say that I'm probably fall in line somewhere between that. There's days where I really, really enjoy being lacking a huge schedule. And then there's days that I feel lost without one. So combination of those things. But I know that my wife is retired also, and of course she's looking forward to that as well. So I'm sure there'll probably be some separate trips and some responsibilities that I'll be taking care of where she won't have as many responsibilities. But it's about balance, and it's about service above self for us. And for me specifically, I think that we need leadership in the state of Alaska, and I've worked with the best of the best. I've been taught by the best of the best, and I'm prepared and ready to take on the challenges of Alaska over the next 4 years. And I look forward to those challenges. I like challenge. I like it. I thrive in that type of world, that environment. You circle yourself with very professional and very capable people, and you can only expect good results. And that's been my experience as borough mayor. And when I was at NSTAR, I worked with the best of the best too. I've been blessed my entire life to be exposed to some very, very good people, and you'll learn from them, right?
Well, yeah, and you do have a long career in business as well as in public service. So tell us about your career at NSTAR. I mean, you You retired a few years ago, but you had already served on the assembly at some point there, correct?
I did. I was the Southern Division Operations Manager for NSTAR, and I did that for 28 years. And while doing that, I ran for office and for the Assembly. And from 08 to 2014, I was on the Assembly. And at that time, there were decisions being made that I recognized that would impact the lives of the residents of the borough. And one of the things we commonly focused on even then was property taxes, sales tax, taxation, and when I ran, one of the things one of the common traits that I've discovered or paid close attention to, there seems to be a cycle in government where we spend, and then we tax. We spend, and tax. It's no different at the state. The difference at the state, there's 4 or 5 extra zeros behind every number. Between the borough and the state, significantly different. You're talking about billions of dollars versus about hundreds of thousands of dollars at the borough level. And, I can say that there's a lot of little cliches, little comments that you can make, but you learn from them along the way. And I'd like to think when John and I were together, we worked smarter, not harder. It kind of had a slogan around the office: let's work smarter, not harder. Let's put technology to work for us and allow us to be the best that we can be the best of the best. And we've produced some awesome results at the Kenai Peninsula Borough. When I was at NSTAR, I was the manager, and I would say that one of the priorities I had as a manager was to make sure that my bosses and my boss's bosses looked good. And, there was a huge amount of effort and contribution made every day towards the gratitude and appreciation for employees, making sure that they were successful too. And I learned something very, very as a young man. I went to work at NSTAR at 18 years old, and I was 18 years old when I started at NSTAR. Wow. And it was a very family-oriented business. It was the president, vice presidents, the managers, the supervisors. They treated all of the employees like family. It was small. We broke bread together. We celebrated our success together. We learned from our mistakes, and we were constantly thriving to do good, be safe. Remember, we're in a natural gas industry, and that kind of stuff gets hot and burns sometimes. Yeah. And so we were constantly very aware of the standard operating procedures. I grew up in a world that was very, very structured and very driven. We were driven to work safe, be safe, always be safe, and to make money. Mm-hmm. And those were the things that we did, and we did it very well.
Well, that's something I've noticed about you. You are always lifting up people around you. You're a very inspirational person. You lift up all the people that work for you. You've been very encouraging to Must Read Alaska. We always, if I ever want a kind word and a word of encouragement, I know that you will encourage me in a positive way. And you don't spend a lot of time running people down. I noticed that about you. That's very much part of your personality, which is probably why you pick up people to work with you in the borough who are really good people, and they want to do well for you because you're such an encouraging, positive leader. So good on you.
Thank you. Yep. I've worked for both styles of leadership. I've worked for leaders that I would tell you that I didn't want to work for every day, and even back then I would always say that, boy, I sure wish I had your job, and that I could teach you how to treat people, because it's important. How you treat someone makes a difference. And so you're right. I won't spend a whole lot of time. When I ran a campaign with for mayor and for the assembly, and on the assembly, when I served on the assembly, when I serve as mayor, one of the things that you will never hear me do is take someone by first name and kick them around the room. I will attack the issues. I will be very, very passionate and very, very clear about the issues, and I will defend you, your rights, my rights, and I'll argue till I take my last breath. But I will tell you that I will never, ever attack you as a person. I will attack the issues.
So, Mayor, one of the things I think politicians are great at, which I don't consider you a true politician. I consider you a business guy that happens to be in public service, and a friend. But one of the things that politicians do is they promise the world. And that's one of the things I think you've been very strategic in not doing. You've kind of said, look back at my work the last 6 years and take it for what it's worth. Tell me a little bit about what that looks like, because I know that, the last 5 years, people on the assembly have wanted to raise the taxes, the mill rate, your property tax. And you've been successful. Most of the time, you've been outnumbered 5-4, liberal to conservative. And so talk to me about how you've managed to be successful with not increasing the mill rate over the last 5 years when you've been outnumbered on the assembly.
Well, if you recall, when we took office, we had a $4.5 million deficit we were faced with, and the prior mayor had left office and had proposed a 1 mil increase. That 1 mil is worth $8 million in our local economy. And that's something that I've always been very cognizant of is that I will never, ever, every dollar that I could save, I took this position and this philosophy, and being the on the assembly and as well as mayor, every dollar that we save or that we can conserve on is a dollar we don't have to collect. And every dollar that we can leave in your pocket as an individual, as a homeowner, as a family unit, every dollar we can leave in your pocket, in your account, in your household, is a dollar that will circulate in the economy that you'll use to thrive in your own world. And it circulates 7-8 times in our local economy, and it helps us live a better standard or a higher quality of life. And so I've always been very cognizant about not wanting to collect or raise taxes as my first solution to resolve the out of balances that you commonly see in government with your revenues and your expenditures. And so the short of the story is, you're right, the mill rate is one of the things that they commonly go at. The leaders that you elect, they commonly look at, well, we need revenue. Well, let's just roll the mill rate. Let's just roll the mill rate. And what I've said is no, let's put a hiring freeze on, or let's put a travel freeze on, or let's postpone that capital purchase, or let's install technology and or mechanical heating, for example. In many of our schools, we've gone out and changed the boilers, right? When you change a boiler and you put a high efficiency boiler in, you save energy costs, right? Those are direct dollars that then in turn go back into the budget. The school district, for example, we own the buildings, but they pay for the fuel costs to keep them warm. And every dollar we could save then in turn goes back into those budgets. And so we're constantly looking for those little dollar savings that you can find. And of course, when I went into office, I was told you'll never do it. You'll never accomplish the end results. You might as well roll the mill rate. And so if you count the 8 months that I managed of the previous mayor's budget that I inherited, and you count the 6 years that I will serve as a mayor or have influence on, if I'm elected as governor, I'll leave early. I will not finish my term. I'll have 1 year that is where I will not be able to finish my term. But the table's set. The budgets and the schedules are already set through 2026. And it looks like no mill rate increases are going to be required. In fact, I mentioned to you, we'll make a determination. Some of the determination in it is that the school districts receive some federal funds that they're shoring up some of their shortages on, or their out of balance issues on. And so I want to be very careful that I don't get out ahead of it and shortchange them on the other side. I want to make sure that we have enough revenue to fund schools as close to the cap as possible, and we're doing that anyway. Those are the kind of decisions that you focus on and that you make, and those are the kind of things that I'll do as governor too. You'll probably see a hiring freeze, and you'll probably see a travel freeze until I get a sense about where the dollars are coming from and who's spending what in each department. And don't be surprised if you don't see some audits done in some of these departments as well. We'll do some audits, and one of the things Edie's really eager to do is to do a forensics. Get some of the experts in there to look at some of these Dominion machines that we've used for our election process. Look at the voter rolls. Let's clean this stuff up. Let's get it so that you and I can trust that when we go into the ballot box that we're going to vote and our vote's going to count. It's going to be calculated equitably, fairly, and without any opportunities to allow any corruptions or any altercations to occur.
That's a really good pivot point for discussing this ranked choice voting environment that we're going into, because we are going into a situation this year where we will have a primary ballot where it's a kind of open primary. It's called a jungle primary. Everybody's on the same ballot. The top 4 will go to the November ballot, where we'll then switch up and we'll do a ranked choice voting. So for voters, it's a big education process. It's not ideal because it's 2 styles of voting depending on which election you're in. People have to remember, if they try to rank the candidates in August, they're going to spoil their ballots and their ballots won't count. So then in November, you'll probably make it to the November ballot because you're a pretty well-known name. You're a well-known conservative in the state. And the other thing about it is that you really do have a record that you can run on. So how are you going to work this ranked choice environment?
I'm gonna behave like I'm in 4th place until I see the results. I want to serve all Alaskans. I want to be the governor. I believe I'm the most qualified candidate that has a track record of getting things done. That's one of the reasons I'm in this race, is that I'm tired of waiting for leadership to show up and to actually follow through on comments made during election cycles. You're seeing it today. I've been to a number of meetings where the first one I went to this last week, and the candidates are already telling you what they need to do. And what I'm hearing is that there's let's give the university more money, let's give the school districts more money. And I'm a guy that when I first hear that certainly I agree, we've got some problems. We've got a university that 24, I've heard hearsay, 25% of the people that go there never only graduate, 25% accomplishment rate. And then when you graduate, the diploma that you get is not certifiable, not accredited. In many cases, they're not even accredited. So what it tells me is that, why would I send my children there and spend the dollars that we spend, the high dollars we spend to educate our kids, only to have them walk away with a diploma that's not certifiable? What good is it? It's not even worth the paper it's written on. And so what we need is we need these quality control measures to stand behind. Where is the urgency in this state to fix the things that we've been talking about for the last 30 years? Where's the urgency? I don't see it. I see a lot of people being very, very comfortable and having this attitude, well, government will just take care of it. Government will just pay for it. And you know what? That's what government's doing. And government's fixing to take another 25% of your PFD to pay for the bills of the state. And I asked you, as a resident of the state of Alaska, are you okay with that kind of results? It's lazy. It's lazy. And I can't help but say it. And I sit back and I would tell you that the places that I grew up and worked in, they would have fired you.
Yeah, that doesn't swing in the private sector.
No, it doesn't.
You asked the question.
Candidate, and so I sit here and I listen to these candidates. They make these promises. I won't make a promise to you as governor. Here's what I will say to you. And I did this as mayor. I never made any direct promises. What I did say is I will go in there and I will do my very best. I will go in there and produce results that we can all be satisfied and proud of. That's what we need to do. We need to start being first in something in Alaska instead of last in education, highest per capita spending per student, and then produce some results. Where's the results? When did we start accepting close enough? When did close enough become the standard for us as people? And we're waiting for capital investment in our state. We're looking for economic development in our state. I was told by our governor that Alaskans have yet to see the best days of Alaska. Breaks my heart. It breaks my heart to hear comments made like that and then no follow through on it. Where's the results? Where's your results? You know, we got a candidate, and I couldn't help myself but to ask the question this last week, and I was with a group of people. One of the candidates said, yeah, I was in the legislature for 19 years. And I couldn't help myself but to ask the question, did you ever get anything done? Alaska, we're rich in natural resources. We've got some of the smartest and talented, greatest, hardest working people that you'd ever meet. And yet we're last in so many things. We can't even attract seniors to live here and retire here anymore. We're last on that list too. When will we need a leader that can wake up and put a little bit of fire in this state, create a little bit of excitement. I love what I do. I love saying what I need to say. And if it bothers you and it motivates you to get off your couch and actually go out and do something tomorrow, then I've done my job. And being in this race as governor, if I make the other candidates work a little bit harder to demonstrate some results, then I've accomplished what I set out to do in running in this race. Alaska deserves better, and we can do better. And I'm going to be your governor. I'm going to work hard every day to be your governor. And when I am your governor, I'm going to produce some results.
I love it. You know, one of the things, Charlie, that I can say that I've seen from you firsthand is that oftentimes politicians blame everything on two things: people or money. And you are somebody who's came into the Kenai Peninsula Borough and said, I don't need more money. And you are about one of the most loyal people to your staff as they come. Oftentimes conservatives will come in and they'll blame everything on the government staff, and they'll throw everybody under the bus. And I think the proof is in the pudding, where you and your leadership style have come alongside and worked with the people in government to accomplish the goals that you want. And I think that says a lot, because it goes with your campaign slogan: results, not rhetoric. You're less concerned of what letters behind somebody's name, more concerned about getting the job done. Right. So before we go, I want to give you one final opportunity, Charlie, to Mayor Pierce, to talk about where people can find information on your campaign. What's your website? Are you on Facebook? What kind of events do you have coming up this week?
We got these little cards here, and we're handing these out. And yes, we have a webpage, www.charliepierceforgovernor.com, and then Charlie@charliepierceforgovernor.com is the Facebook. And my number, 907, this is my cell number. This is my personal cell number. And you can have it, and you can call me. 907-953-0006. My address is P.O. Box 408, Soldotna. And I've got a team of individuals that are helping me with my campaign, and I can't thank them enough. The folks that I work with every day at the borough, I'm still the borough mayor, and I'm working every day to make sure that nothing changes there, that the bills are paid and the employees are smiling. And I love what I do. I love the opportunity. Think about this. I'm humbled to be at the age of 63 and have a family and friends that support me. And it's very humbling, and it's an honor to be able to run in one of the greatest states in this country, Alaska, and run for governor. Think about the responsibility that comes with that. I think about it, kind of shakes me a little bit. It's a task that I'm going to need to learn a lot. I'm up for the cause and up for the challenge. And again, I'll circle myself with the most talented and capable individuals so that you can actually be proud of the state that you live in. We'll work on quality of life issues. We'll work on revenue issues. We'll work on expenditures and get things balanced or closer to balance if we can. And it's not if we can, we have to. Lawful PFD, follow the laws. We all took the oath of office to follow the Constitution of the state of Alaska and the United States Constitution and the codified things that are in our laws, and we need to follow the law. And I would tell the legislature that, start following the law. You've been ignoring that. I'm going to encourage you to do the right thing, always do the right thing, and get up every day, make your bed, get there early, stay late when you need to, and vote for Charlie. Vote for this guy. A vote for this guy will produce some results for you. I'll listen to the voice of the people, and will apply a lot of common sense. Imagine that.
Well, you've surely done what you promised to do on the Kenai. No mill rate increase, and you've kept that budget solid. You kept it free and open for business during the entire pandemic. You were always going on Facebook saying, we're open for business down here. Come on down to the Kenai. We're living the best life down here. We're living free. And John, I've got a beeping snowplow outside, so I'm going to have you finish off. I'm going to mute myself again because the snowplow is making so much racket. Okay, you take the show away, right?
Awesome. Well, if you're a supporter of Must Read Alaska, we thank you for being a supporter. None of this happens without folks like you giving $1 or $10 or $100 or whatever it is. So we are very appreciative of each and every supporter that we have. We want to thank Mayor Pierce for coming on, and you can check his campaign out at charliepierceforgovernor.com. And we want to thank the Charlie Pierce for Governor team for sponsoring this podcast. They'll be sponsoring not just this podcast that Charlie's on now, but they'll be sponsoring our whole podcast, which is very exciting. As of last week, we had the #2 podcast in the government section in the entire United States, which is huge news for us. I mean, I'm in my son's bedroom on on podcasts, and the people that we're competing against have $1 million budgets and names like BBC, NBC, MSNBC, ABC. And so we're excited that everybody out there is listening, and we're appreciative. You can also download our app at the Google Play Store or the iTunes Store, and you can find this podcast anywhere podcasts are located: Amazon, iTunes, Spotify, you name it, we're there. So we appreciate you for tuning in, and we'll be on this. There'll be another show Wednesday morning where we'll have a special guest. So until next time, from somewhere in Alaska, we are signing off. Thank you so much, Mayor Pierce, for joining us today.
Thank you. Bye-bye.